edition of our StaySmart newsletter and podcast, brought to you by Viciniti Corporate Housing, where we try to keep you updated on what we see happening in the industry. Coming to you today from a windy St. Charles, Illinois. I was trying to do this yesterday in downtown Chicago, but it was windy there also, and the traffic and the noise is a little bit hard to do. So I was meeting some clients today in St. Charles, and so here I am in downtown St. Charles. Some really good articles this week, so I'll go ahead and dive right in. The first one is, should HR call the shots on business travel? I think this is intended for companies that have this size and scope to be able to do this. And this article talks about it makes the most sense when you have a dedicated travel managers. But it was really interesting because it does talk about almost 80% of business travelers do say that it has an impact on their job satisfaction. So making sure that business travelers, business associates are having a good experience when they travel for business is important. So if you are at the scale, the scope of a company that can have a dedicated travel team, this is what this article says. Yes, you should be doing that and making those decisions as long as it's a collaborative effort with that traveler. In particular, it talks about making sure that you take into mind their personal preferences, whether that's hotel chain or seat choice or dietary restrictions, and then also working with them to make sure you're being inclusive. And the article does talk about wellness and safety and health, the health of the traveler. I think that's really important. Wellness is really important. It's something that's important to me. So I think this is a really good article that talks about should HR make the buying decisions. The next article is from the Wall Street Journal, talks about hotel room rates needing to increase due to staffing costs. So this is really interesting because, as we've seen in particular, the hourly employees in the hotel industry going from $18 an hour up to almost $24 an hour. Hotel industry has seen over a 20% increase in the cost of staffing since 2019. And obviously that's going to need to get passed down to the traveler. So hotel rates will continue to increase due to this, and it's really interesting. Staffing in the kind of hospitality segment in general has been a challenge, and I think it could affect the service that hotels are giving. So they need to make sure that they continue to give the top service if they're going to charge those higher rates. Be interesting to see as we see hotel rates continue to go up throughout this year. And then finally, we have an article that talks about 4 travel trends in the business travel segment, and those being 82% of business travelers still think it's important to travel for business. It still is meeting their business objectives. And then the use of AI in pricing prediction, whether that's the travel buyer being able to predict hotel rates or the supplier being able to predict what that travel buyer's budget is using AI to be able to travel, to provide some of that information. So really interesting use of AI there. And then corporate travel policies taking in carbon emissions into their plans. I think this is really important, as obviously we've talked a lot about sustainability on this podcast. It's really important in business travel, relocation. This is something that we'll see this year in 2024, is that put into those corporate travel policies. And finally, bleisure travel, we've talked about a lot on this podcast, but we'll continue to see bleisure travel this year. Really, what's interesting is kind of longer term travelers jumping at the chance to do some of these longer term travels to be able to tack on a little bit of leisure to the business travel that they're doing. So we'll continue to see bleisure travel continue in 2024. Those are the articles that we have this week. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are some of the trends that you see happening this year that weren't included in this? What do you think is going to be happening in business travel or relocation? What are the trends that you're going to see in 2024? Love to hear your feedback. Go ahead and put it in the comment section here, or just email me directly. My contact information is here. That's what I see transitioning this week. Take care, everyone.